All right. Let's thank most recent GoFundMe donors: Wrangle Wrangle, Tim Gago, Jay Ray, and Joe Khalif. Sorry if I mispronounced your name or that I couldn't read it correctly. You guys helped me. Thank you very much. So this is my 5 years in federal prison, part 11, I believe. And when we left off last time, I just seen that guy get smashed out on the baseball diamond. And he was wavering, his equilibrium was off, blood was cascading down his face. Horrific scene. And most importantly, I saw that pretty much all the white guys at this federal prison were strapped. They had prison shanks. You know, you always hear about shanks. That's the shiv. Yeah, went to prison, I shivved a motherfucker, you know? And you don't know if that's actually just a myth perpetuated by popular culture or if that's something that actually happens. And I've been to a lot of prisons all over the country, state prison, federal prison, and it really depends on where you are and the level of custody. Remember, I'm at Federal Correctional Institution Victorville. There's 2 medium yards, there's a women's camp, and there's the United States Penitentiary, who's like the level 4. I'm on the level 3 medium. Still a very rough and combative place, way out of my element. I have a terrible cellie, Tom. I may, that guy. And it's not just him, you know, now that I'm starting to get acclimated and I'm starting to socialize, I'm realizing how weird a lot of these guys are. You know, like you'll have the Southside, so many weird Southsiders and so many weird every race, but Southsiders and Peckerwoods and skinheads were who I was around most often. It was a very racially divided place, so I didn't hang out with that many black guys. But like I'd have Southsiders come up to me and be like, hey, what's up, fool? I used to meet up with dudes on Craigslist and have sex when I was stoned on methamphetamine, fool. But I came to prison and I found Jesus Christ and now I'm saved, fool. I don't do shit like that anymore, fool. That's like the first time I talked to the person. I'm like, what? Okay. You know, and it's not just Southsiders. Like I said, like homosexual humor, gay play, as they call it in prison, is vast. I've seen that at pretty much every prison I've ever done time at. And these guys would like always tell me these weird gay stories about them being high on meth. That's why they call meth queer juice. And I think that that's absolutely true. The IV meth world has a lot of really weird stuff going on in it. I remember I was in jail one time, Santa Barbara County Jail, and somebody was telling me about a subgenre of porn called brocha porn. Brocha means like paintbrush in Spanish. So like, you know, like the super serio, like, hey, what's up, fool? They have brocha mustaches. And this guy was telling me that there was this like subgenre of porn called brocha porn. I've never Googled it. I don't know if I necessarily want to. I think I will after this just to see if it exists. But from what I was told, there's a subgenre of porn called brocha porn where it's like essays, you know, cliche essays, the wife beater, dicky shorts, construction boots, you know, or like the tucked in shirts, and they're having sex, butt fucking, and the way it was explained to me was brocha porn is exclusive to just outdoor settings. So you see these 2 homies butt fucking with like a running creek in the background or like a ranch setting, you know, and like I don't know if that exists. I don't know if this guy was just making this up that was telling me about brocha porn, but I found it absolutely fascinating. This guy did make it up. What an imagination. I wish I could remember who said that, because that's a weird thing to make up. But I'd always like joke with my friends, and I'd be like, man, I bet the plot lines for brocha porn so funny. Like a split screen, and it's like one essay calling another, and he's like, hey, what's up, fool? What you doing? Nothing. Hey, you do that shit I gave you, fool? Yeah. Is it bomb? Yeah. You feel as bomb as last time? Bomber, fool. How bomb? Bomber than last time, fool. Hey. My old lady's not here right now, fool. she's grocery shopping with my kids. You want to come over? Palabra, fool. You know, like, and then it like cuts into the outdoor scene of them just getting it with like horses eating in meadows. You know, I don't know. This is what this guy told me. I'm not sure if it exists. That's homework assignment. Google and find bro chop porn. If you're the first person who finds it and tells me, I'll send you a signed book. How's that? I'm very curious to know if this exists. And this, if you guys look for it and I don't have to explain myself. Maybe if I'm getting like a phone upgrade and there's all this bro chop porn all over my phone, I really am curious about it. But you'll find these weird people like that, and it's just, I know I talk a lot about gay stuff and butt fucking, but you got to remember that's like what the prison experience, when you remove the bravado and hypermasculinity, this is how people joke in that setting. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys are really illiterate, you know, not any fault of their own. A lot of times they come from broken homes. Maybe their family were addicts. A lot of times inmates, I would find, you know, their mom was a prostitute. They didn't have a dad. I've always found that the biggest commonality between inmates is growing up without a father. Now, that wasn't the case with me. I have a great dad. He's like one of my best friends. But if you take a poll of everybody that's doing time, it's male in this country, you're going to find that it's probably in the high 90%. They grew up without a father figure and maybe got antisocial behavioral disorder. And you meet some of these weird guys that, you know, and one day they'll be telling you about these like Craigslist sexual encounters on meth, and like just telling you that because I think they just want to get it off their chest. It's like the same way that I say stuff on my videos. It's like therapeutic for them. And the next day they'll be like, hey, let me get at you, fool. They always do that. They'll be all animated. Let me see if I can get my hand. Let me get at you, fool. They'll always do that. And like at first, I'm so naive to prison when they're like, hey, fool, let me get at you. I thought that it was like he was trying to challenge me to some sort of dance-off, and we're going to start like breakdancing, like in some weird like 80s breakdance film or something. Like they're so animated. Let me get at you, fool. And you're like, okay, what's up? Hey, Baby Scooby Snacks doesn't really like the way you've been carrying yourself on the yard, fool. Like some of the stuff you say about Hispanics, fool. Racist, pero racist. And you're just like, all right. And then the next day they're telling me how he used to do gay sex and then Jesus saved him. And it was weird. And then I'm not just talking shit on Southsiders. It's also like there's really ignorant skinheads in prison too. I can't stand racist people. And prison is an ideological breeding ground for extremism, for extreme sentiment, whether it be anti-authoritarian, misogyny. Everyone objectifies women. And I think it's ironic because you should see some of the girls these guys are like worshiping. And like, I'm not superficial. Maybe some of these girls have a bomb personality, but I'd hear them be like, hey, I'm riding some bomb ass high enough, fool. I'm like, yeah? Let me see a picture. And they'd show me a picture and I'd be like, it's the kind of girl that you could put like a 10X wetsuit on and throw into an aquarium at SeaWorld and feed her like raw broccoli and just have them floating in that big 10X wetsuit, and they'd make more money than like a Shamu attraction. It's like, that's what kind of females these guys are. Bomb ass high in the food, bomb. Hey, fool, these hyenas are bomb. And you're like, dude, wow. It's, so, and you know, I'm not, hey, personality over physicality, but it's just funny, these guys. They're ridiculous, but they objectify women. I like them thick, fool. I like my highness to be thick. And I'm like, you like your highness fat. That's what you like. And I'd like try to say it, but I was all like tone deaf and I wouldn't land the jokes correct. And they'd be like, hey man, that's my baby mama's sister, fool. Or, you know, like, what? All right, whatever, man. And you know, it's not, like I said, it's not exclusive to Southsiders. There's like, the skinheads really bugged me in prison. I'm still living with Tom. Well, I may have, you know, that guy. And then, you know, skinheads just have always bugged me. They just, I don't know, man. What's funny about skinheads is you only really see them in prison. Come on, man. I live in Southern California. I never go to Santa Monica or Pacific Palisades and see some skinhead sunbathing with swastikas emblazoned on them. You hardly ever see that stuff outside of captivity. They're all in prison. If you're a skinhead, you're pretty much signing up to go to prison for the rest of your life. They have like swastikas on their neck. It's like, are you kidding me? That's not smart for when you're out on like, imagine a skinhead getting pulled over and the cop being like, sir, are you on probation or parole? And he's just like sitting there with the cop can see the swastika. He's like, no, sir. And now these idiots are getting face tattoos. That's like the big thing in prison because tattoos were so popularized in culture. Like, tattoos used to mean you were like a hardcore like convict or pirate or whatever, outlaw of some a biker or something. But then everyone started getting tattoos. Your Panic at the Disco fanboy is blasted in tattoos. The shoegazer emo craze blasted in tattoos. So then it went to like neck and like hands, and that was like the tough guy thing. And I've watched it, and then the head's ridiculous. Get the area code right here. I remember I was in juvenile hall, and I saw this kid. He got a fuck fags tattoo on his neck. It said fuck fags, and it was pick and poke, so it was done with like a staple. It just said fuck fags. I have no idea this is like in 99, 2000 is when I saw this guy, but it said fuck fags, and fuck was spelled F-U-K. And I would give anything to know what that guy's doing right now. I gotta know what his life has turned out to be. Hopefully he's gotten that removed. That's, you're not doing much with a tattoo like that. So, now people are getting face tattoos though. Skinheads are getting like 88, like right here, or like getting portraits of, Nazis, or, and you're just like, Jesus Christ. Now the face tattoos with all the, you got these guys like Tekashi 6ix9ine that have like really made that acceptable to this like new generation of delinquents. I try not to judge other people, and face tattoos or whatever, I wouldn't get one. But some of the stuff I've seen people with like Hannibal Lecter, like their whole face is the Hannibal Lecter mask, and you're just like, So I'm getting acclimated with these people that I don't have anything in common with. I'm not racist. I don't objectify women the way they do. Bomb ass high in the fool. Like, motherfucker, that chick's like 700 pounds, and she's like out there cheating on you too. On top of that, these people are just ridiculous. And, and then I had to learn like the politics and like, oh, hey, Spencer, fool, you didn't say excuse me when you like made eye contact with me 6 days ago, and like that's a sign of disrespect. And I'm like, okay, man, and I had to learn all the different prison gangs. There's all these like Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Circle, Aryan Nation, Sons of Mayhem or something. I just made that one up. But what is it? There's some one in Utah, Sons of something, Dirty White Boys, Gay Nazis for Christ. There's just all these different prison gangs, and you have to like adapt and learn like who's who and what's what, and try not to get involved with this stuff because it's just stupid to get involved with prison gangs, in my opinion. The first week that I'm there, and I've told this story on a couple podcasts. I told it on 23&1, I think, but I'll tell it again. Just first week I'm there, I got in my first fight at Victorville, and what had happened is you go to chow and it's all separated by race. It's very racially divided. Like the blacks sit in one section, Mexicans sit in one section, and then the Mexicans have their own little factions too. There's like Tongo Blast from Texas, and there's like there were no norteños at Victorville, but there's different like variations of Southsiders, and there's the Texas Syndicate. I don't think they were allowed to be together, but there's just different factions of Hispanic gangs. and they kind of just sit at their own tables, but all in one general Mexican section. Then there's the others section, which is like islanders and just like miscellaneous, like, you know, races, Samoans, and just random shit that they need to be in their own group called others because they don't have big enough numbers to do anything. Those guys like never have their own TV. They really have nothing. It kind of, I always feel bad for them. Some Asian guys like run with the black guys or whatever, but at this prison at that time in 2009, they weren't really letting you run with another race unless you were that race. Like a white crypt came in one time, supposedly. It was like a white crypt, but he talked like a stockbroker. He's like, hey, I'm Alan. I'm a crypt and I'm from Pasadena. How you doing? And everybody knew that this guy was on nothing. I think he just thought that if he claimed he was a crypt that nothing would happen. I think he was so green and he got stabbed. Anyway, moving on. So in the whites would sit with the whites, skinheads would have their own table, and there's always like the cool table. I've sat at the cool table at a couple prisons. I definitely didn't at Victorville. I was like super not cool. But as I like kind of learned the game a little bit, I could sit at the cool table. It's so absurd. Prison culture is like I've said a million times, fake, immature, whatever. But I'm sitting at this table my first week, and I'm sitting across from this guy, Jack. And I don't remember what prison we were talking about. I think we were talking about Florence, Colorado, or we might have been talking about the USP. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm glad I didn't go there. It's my first time in prison, and I heard that place a little rougher than here. And I'm just happy that I'm here with all you nice guys. And he's like, yeah, you went to Dunwell there. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it means that I think you're a fucking idiot. That's what it means. And I'm like, and the entire chow hall swivels in unison and looks at me. I got punked out. Now, I should have taken off on this guy right there and then. That's what I should have done. When you get punked out in prison, you really have no choice but to do that. It doesn't matter. Regardless of the consequences, you need to do that. Where I am now, that's what I would have done. Now, but back then, you know, like my whole fighting strategy in that period was like, I had one shot, one right hook. If I ever got in a fight, I always hit first. And if they hit me back too hard, I kind of just curled up in a ball and waited till people peeled me off of them. And that was kind of like my strategy back then. I was definitely not a fighter. And so I'm like standing there, and one of the first I was not scared of this guy. This guy was a lot taller than me, biker, long hair, all blasted out, doing a life sentence, whatever. I wasn't necessarily scared of him. What I was scared of was my counselor at MDCLA had given me a management variable, meaning that I was supposed to be at the USP, the level 4. I'm at the level 3. They're not really numerical levels like that. I'm just saying it for the sake of if you're from like a state prison, from another state or California state prison, just so you can kind of understand like what level yard this was. And because it was my first time in prison, they have the discretionary power to put a management variable on you. Now, I think that she did that because she knew I was soft. She said that it was my first time in prison. There's no point to put me with those kind of animals in like a level 4, so she put a management variable on me. But it was contingent on me not getting in trouble. And when I got off on the bus, the captain told me right off the bat, he said, look, you're on a management variable. One thing, you get in trouble one time, we're shipping you to the USP, and you're not going to like it over there, man. You're not going to like it. You know, people are getting their heads cut off and rolled down tears. And that, I was the kind of guy that for sure would happen to. And I knew that. So my immediate reaction when Jack punked me out was that if I took off on him right there's a bunch of COs in the chow hall, I would have been tackled, I would have been taken in the hole, and I would have consequently been shipped to the USP right next door. And then I would have had my head cut off and rolled down the tier. Like in that very fast, like in like a 72-hour period, that probably would have all happened just like that. It probably would have. It was that green where there's no way I could carry myself in like a hardcore USP at that time. So I just get up, I grab my tray, and I leave. I just dump it, federal prison, depends on where you are, but at Victorville and at a lot of other places, like the COs don't call you when dinner, like they'll make an announcement that like dinner's over and that you have to leave, but you can leave whenever you want before that. Like if you go in there and you're a fast eater and you eat really quick, you can just leave and you walk back to the housing unit. You have to go through a metal detector to make sure you don't have any pieces. And also at Victorville at that time, the people that worked in the kitchen were cooking pruno. They were cooking wine in the kitchen. Pruno, because of the fermenting process that needs to occur to make it into alcohol, they'd cook it. If you do it in a really hot place, it expedites the process. So the guys that worked in the kitchen would make pruno and they would leave it like in the dishwasher where it got really hot. So it would turn batches in like 2 days of like really strong wine. And all you do is like you'd go in line and you'd like be like, hey, pisto. You'd say that to a paisa, and they'd bring you like, you know, that much in a bag. They'd just come deliver it to your table, and you'd have a cup, and you and your friends could have drinks. When you walk out of the chow hall, there's always a group of COs, and they'll pick one person randomly and breathalyze you, because they know that we drink in there. So it was always a gamble. Like we would like walk out holding our breath every time, and just hope that we wouldn't get caught, because I was drinking like every day. You could get drunk for like $2. It was like the most cost-effective way to get loaded in prison at the time. So I had to walk back from chow to the housing unit, and I go up to Ed, who was running the yard at the time, or running the unit at the time, I'm sorry. It was C-lower, and he was like he had the keys for the whites. He was the shot caller for that particular building, and then there was a yard rep beyond him that he had to answer to. And I go up to Ed, classic guy. He's the guy that my parents traded a visit with. I talked about that on 23andMe. I'll post it. I have a picture of him. I'll make it the thumbnail for this video. But I go up to Ed, and I'm like, hey man, Jack punked me out in the chow hall, and I gotta protect my name, bro. And he just kind of laughs at me. He's like, are you kidding me? Jack will knock your head off. Jack is a bona fide killer, bro. He's just kind of like amused that I want to fight this guy. And he's telling me not to, you know? I'm like, well, don't I have to protect my honor, man? And he's like, yeah, I mean, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to get your ass kicked. I'm like, whatever. So you have to wear khaki, like a khaki uniform. I think I posted some pictures of me somewhere, I think on my Instagram or something, of me with my parents in the khaki uniform. And you have to wear that at the chow hall. But you can wear your grays, like in the housing, you know, like shorts, whatever, you can wear that to the yard. So I changed into shorts, and this guy named Youngster, who would become my cellie later, came up to me. He's doing like 15 years for weed or something like that. And he's like, dude, I heard you're going to fight Jack. That guy likes to stab people. He's going to stab you. I was like, stab me? What do you mean? And he's like, he's going to stab you. Do you have a piece? And I had the little plexiglass throwaway, and I told him that. He's like, no. You need like a bone crusher, or you need an ice pick. And he ends up giving me an ice pick. And what it was, it had a handle on it. It had like a screwdriver handle, and then it had this like long piece of like a rebar. So it looked like a glorified screwdriver. And he had me tied in the drawstring of my shorts. And he's like, look, this guy's been known to stab people at the penitentiaries. He's definitely going to stab you, 100%. So just be ready when he comes in here. If you see him go for anything, if he's wearing long sleeve shirt, he probably has the knife right in there. You need to just pull it out of your drawstring, and you just get him in the neck. You need to just go for it, man. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. But really, in reality, my heart's just like thudding against me, almost painfully. I don't know if you've ever had that kind of anxiety where it's just mutes the world around you. Like you can hear people talking, but like it's not connecting to the wire that's reactionary in your brain. You can't like respond because everything's diluted by panic, you know? And so this is a 2-tier building, meaning that there's a flight of stairs that lead to the second tier. And I go stand up on the tier and I wait for Jack. So I'm just like standing there, and it was like the most build up for a fight that I've ever been in my life, because I thought it was going to be a knife fight. thought it was gonna be some like crazy shit you'd see like in the 60s with like greasers, like with, you know, wearing a leather jacket and like slick back hair. Like this is like a straight up like 60s knife brawl is what I'm thinking in my head. That's my only, I've never done something like this. I mean, I've stabbed a skinhead when I was like 18 or 19 in self-defense. That was in the free world. Prison, this is completely unknown territory to me. I have no idea what's gonna happen to me. And so I'm standing there, I see Jack come in. And Ed talks to him. There's a lot of body language. He's like, you know, doo-doo-doo. And I see Jack look up at me and he just starts steaming. Like, it literally looked like flames are spewing out of his nostrils. He was just so enraged, and he looks up at me. He's like, "Let's do this, bitch." And the bitch like reverberated throughout the entire unit, and he's just charging me. He's like, "Let's do this." And my cell was maybe like 2 doors away, you know? And so right when he's like coming up the stairs, I'm watching him. I'm making sure that he's not going to pull out a knife on me. And I'm like, yeah, let's go in my cell. Stupid, naive mistake. I turn my head and he just cracks me. Now the floor is like concrete. It's like that kind of concrete that's kind of like polished, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it's like, you know, it's like it has like a slick, looks like a garage or something, like the way that a garage floor looks. And I remember falling to the ground and blood just going like all on the ground. There's blood everywhere, and I could see it. I could feel it, like it was warm down my face. He got me right here. I have a bunch of stitches that I had to get right here, and it was from that. And so he hits me, and I curl up in a ball, and I'm like, "Stop hitting me, Jack!" And he's just getting me. Finally, I like snap out of my little bitchness or whatever's going on, and I grab his long hair like a tether ball, and I just start hitting him back. And people at this point, people are cheering. It's not like in high school everyone's like fight, 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 because there's COs that could come out any moment. People aren't rats like that, but people are getting up to watch and like, you know, making a commotion a little bit, trying to be slick, but still we have an audience. And I start getting him okay. I mean, I got some shots in on him. He definitely won the fight. And what happened is eventually I hit him so many times like the tether ball that he just stopped. He gets up, and he had dropped his sunglasses, and I'm leaking, and I'm like all dizzy, and I like grab the sunglasses. I'm like, "Here you go, Jack." And he just looks at me, he's like, "Huh," and keeps walking. And this guy named Guy Orsioli or something, I don't know, we're still friends on Facebook. He was a good friend of mine in there. He's like some New York stockbroker type, but I forget what he was in there for. But Guy comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, kid, you look horrible. Come into my cell, man. Let me fix you up." I'm like, "Okay." And we're trying to get the bleeding to stop, but it won't. So we have to go out on the next move. They put sunglasses on me. It won't stop bleeding, but I'm kind of like using tissue to kind of soak as much blood as possible. What I did is I went up to one of the COs on the yard. I'm like, "Hey, this just happened to me playing softball." And, you know, they kind of smirk. They know what's up. "I fell in the shower. I did this playing softball." And he's like, "You okay? No further problems?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Takes me to the nurse station. I get stitches. Now, what happened from getting in a fight like that, is a couple things. A lot of people started treating me differently, in a better way. My theory with prison is that the vast majority of people in there are pussies. Some are tough, some are crazy. I'm crazy. I've mentioned it several times. I'm not tough, though. There are some legitimately tough guys, but the vast majority are pussies, and they just put on this facade that they're tough. They try to compensate for that feeling of knowing that they actually aren't tough. So everyone acts tough, but very few people are. So when they see that you can actually fight, it disillusions them to a degree, because they know that, like, they probably can't fight. They just go around faking the funk and barking. But then they see that you're actually down to do it, and maybe I'm not the best fighter, but they know I'll actually fight. So people started treating me with more respect. And, you know, Jack and I ended up becoming really good friends after that. I mean, he was just happy that, you know, that I had like the balls to stand up to him. And it, you know, it was a blunder. I should have taken off on him right there and then, but then maybe I would have gone to the USP and I would have gotten killed. Who knows? I think Victorville was a good introductory prison for me to kind of grow up and learn who I was. But I think the majority of people there were actually just really scared. I mean, prison has a really scary connotation just inherently anyway. Everything you hear and read about, everybody's scared. So when you're in prison, you're around a lot of fear-based decisions, and you're around a lot of fakeness. But, you know, I mean, looking back in retrospect, that was 10 years ago. I'm glad that at least I knew that I had to fight him after he got back from the chow hall, you know. I don't know. I think things would have gone a lot differently for me in all the stuff that I'm going to tell in the future videos about what ended up happening if I hadn't stood up for myself right there and then and not look like a punk. I mean, even though I lost the fight, there's not anybody that doesn't respect somebody that at least stands up for themselves. So we'll continue this in the next installment of my 5 years in federal prison, which I think is 12. I think we're on 11. I'm not sure. So thank you very much. Hit like, subscribe, comment, palabra, and that's it. Have a good night, guys. Bye.